They may even pick up and say, "Hey, don't ever call me again." That's a contact because that number is gonna speak volumes. I know it don't really like feel like it, or sometimes it don't even make sense, but that's how it works. It's kind of in reverse. Like, okay, well, this person said no, or they said wrong number, but it's how many of those people that you actually speak to, and some people might be the right person. They say, "Oh, not at this time." You just counting how many people you actually spoke to. That's just a good way to track your numbers. There's other ways to track, and we can get into that too. But that's one of the primary ways that you can do it.
What's good? What's good? What's good, y'all? Not to cut you off.
Oh, you got to.
Back. So before I left, just kind of want to repeat what I was talking about uh in terms of the list. So I sent some of you guys lists that you guys posted that you wanted to be sent to. Uh got a couple responses, a couple people they've been calling, but I feel like we need to get more. We need to get more going because a lot of good deals are in these lists that I sent you. You know, it might not come today, tomorrow, this week, next week, but if you stay consistent, I promise you, it's some good deals in there. You know, when it comes to the acres, I know it's not a set price, so it might be a little bit more difficult, but it's really good for like a follow up. And then it's also not many people are calling these lists. You know, some people calling infill, most people are texting, you know, sending direct mail. But when it comes to acres, nobody's calling these people. So they're the ones that, you know, they might not even know exactly what their lot is worth or their land is worth. You know, we're coming across a couple of those, you know, now. Uh Makisha actually sent a pretty good one last week. The seller wanted, you know, or yesterday. The seller wanted, what was it? The 122,000. When I'm looking at comps lots are selling for 200 in that area. You know, so there's pretty good deals in there. You just got to follow up, stay consistent. All right. So tonight I wanted to, because we had a good mentee call last night and we was going over the contracts. So that's what I want to kind of go over with you guys tonight. And we'll go over, you know, the purchase agreement, the assignment agreement, and then the cancellation agreement. So you guys are always prepared whenever, you know, you guys do get a deal. All right. So give me a second and let me pull up. We'll start with the purchase agreement. All right. I feel like this is important that we all should know because I know a couple people are new, and that's probably one of the first questions that's going to come up once you do find a deal. Like, how do I, you know, write the purchase agreement or how do I send it? Things like that. So, want to make sure you guys are well prepared for when that opportunity does come. You're not panicking, right? So, starting off the purchase, all these different contracts are in the Discord channel. When you scroll all the way down on the left side of the tab and you go to contracts and you could download them. Now, you want to kind of spliff it up. What I mean by that is make it look a little bit better because these is, you know, kind of generic. This is the default. So if you have, let's say, a logo, I would definitely put your logo right here as a header. This just gives the seller more confidence that you're an actual company. And if you don't have a company, that's completely okay as well. Uh, you know, but if you do have a company, if you do have a LLC, I should say, and if you do have a logo, make sure you post your logo on the top as the header, right? So starting off purchase and sale contract for real estate, you always want to start off with the date, the seller's name, your name, and one of the most important parts on the contract is the and or assigns. This allows you to assign this contract to a builder or a buyer. All right. Call buyer and seller name shall hereafter jointly be referred to as the parties. So this is where you'll now put the address to the lot. A lot of times, what I like to do is I'll put the address, but I also will put the parcel ID number right under it. And then I also put the legal description. Reason being is because you're going to come across lots or land, now that we're looking at acres in Florida, right? You're going to come across opportunities that may not have like a 1, 2, 3 Main Street. It might just say Main Street, right? And now in those cases, you want to make sure you put the parcel ID number and the legal description. So now the title company doesn't get confused and it doesn't, hinder the deal. All right. Also with sellers, they may own multiple acres of land, right? We come across sellers that own a lot of different lots. And they might own a lot of lots on, let's say, Main Street. So now when you get the deal going through, they may say, "Oh, I wasn't talking about that lot." But when you have the legal description, when you have the parcel ID number and they review the contract, now they can't say that. All right. When it goes through the process, things do happen even when you have it under contract. So this is just to, protect you. Earnest money deposit. So for people that don't know what earnest money deposit is, just like a good faith deposit, uh, giving the seller, confidence that you're basically buying the lot. Usually the buyer, I never really pay this unless the seller is like really, really on it. You will get some sellers that want to contact the title company, want to contact the closing company, I mean, the closing agent, and then ask them, where's the earnest money deposit? In those cases, I may put the 500 down, but for the most part, the buyer, when I find the buyer, they usually put that down. All right. And then this is where you'll put the total price, whatever you discuss. So if it's 20,000, you put that here. All right, so now the terms. Now this is probably the most important part, right? So depending on which buyer you're using, your buyer may have different terms. So if you don't have a buyer, this is what I will leave as like the standard terms. So buyers usually pay closing costs, attorney fees. Um, when it comes to taxes, I like to use that. I like to the seller to pay more so the taxes because they own the land. So we'll take that out. But title fees and other title costs are to be paid in full by the buyer. So any back taxes, liens, mortgage, HOA, estoppel fee. You could also put doc stamp tax because that does come up sometimes. This is what the seller will be paying, right? So will be closed in full by the seller. All right. So number 3, the seller and buyer will set closing to be as soon as possible for all parties, but no later than 40 days. Usually what I like to do, I like to put 60 days. Reason being is because, and actually 60 business days. This usually gives you enough time to sell the deal. If I put something, let's say I put a lot on the market, right? And if it doesn't get sold within 30 days, I usually cancel. Just because if nobody gave an offer within 15 to 30 days, then it's most likely not a deal for me. Trust me, when you get a deal and you post it on the market, you will get calls ringing nonstop, right? So this basically lets you know that if it doesn't get any offers within 30 days, because think of it like this, you might put it on the market, right? When you have it for 60 days, you might get an offer day 20. Now that buyer, he may need 30 days and then 10 days to close. So that this 60 business days gives you enough time to put it on the market and then also find a builder that may need some time to close. All right. So then in 4, let's take this part out, right? This is an old contract. So like what I like to do is closing date to be as soon as possible. Now, the reason why I put this is because the seller, they're gonna call you, hey Eli, I see that you have on the contract 60 days. Why do we have to wait this long? Or I want to close in 20 days, right? And this is why I tell them, you know, we usually close a lot earlier, but if there's any title issues, if there's anything that comes up, that's why we put for 60 days. If you see number 4, it says closing date to be as soon as possible. So this basically just gives me enough time, right? When I'm discussing with the seller. So number 5, the title report and survey, if required, will be ordered promptly and if not available on the settlement date, or if issues with title such as probate, tax liens, payoff statements, and any other clear title delay, then the settlement may be delayed up for 40 business days. Like I said, I like to put 60. To obtain clear title and report and survey, after which this contract at the option of the buyer may be terminated and the deposit will be refunded in full to the buyer. This is basically saying if any title issues come up uh, that we basically can't handle within 60 days, you have the right to terminate the contract and you will be refunded the earnest money deposit if you did put down an earnest money deposit. Number 6, seller understands that the buyer is a private investment company that is buying real estate to build for immediate resale and profit. Both parties agree that the subject property is bought, sold in its as-is condition, and this agreement is assignable, and I will add, and is marketable on the MLS. All right. So you want to make sure you have that. Basically, this is letting the seller know what we do, right? We're a company, we're an investment company. We're looking to make money. We're either going to build, resell, and profit. So whenever a seller, comes back to me, I always let them know that we work with builders, that, we're building up homes and then we're reselling it. I never really tell them I'm the builder or I'm the wholesaler or I'm the investor. We work with builders that's, looking to build and then we're going to resell it on the market, right? And then this agreement is assignable. This allows us to put it on, this allows us to assign it and then marketable on the MLS. This is basically their agreement saying that we could market on, the MLS. The title company part you could take out. Usually I put that either all the way below. But a lot of times I don't put the title company's information, especially when I'm selling it on the market. For example, if any of you guys get an acres deal with the list I send you, uh, I'm not gonna put the title company because the buyer that may come in and may give us offers, they may have a title company. And the reason why I don't do that is because whoever's title company you use usually pays the closing costs. All right. So the reason why I leave that blank is because we don't want to pay the closing costs. That's going to take out of our, assignment fee. Because usually we're telling the seller that closing costs is paid full by the buyer. So that's just a tip that you don't want to really put the title company. If the sellers ask you, uh, I will mention the title company that you used in the past. If you haven't used a title company in the past and they mention it, I would just say we're gonna use Shem Tov Title. I've worked with them. They closed multiple deals with me. Uh, and they kind of know what we, well, I'm not gonna say they know what we do, right? So that's what I use as like my backup if that ever comes about. And the reason why I say that is because I don't like sending contracts right away to the title company until I find a buyer. So, or if the seller is like really on it. Some sellers, after they sign, they're not, they may call and text you and ask you updates, but they're not going as far as reaching out to the title company. But some of them you may get that. So you just gotta read the room, read their energy. Number 7, so earnest money non-refundable to buyer. Nah, this is wrong. Take this out. Unless title is non-conveyable or seller is not able to close within a time period. Buyers, no, we taking this out. If you watching this, take this whole thing out. All right. So if inspection does not pass buyer standards, buyer may terminate this agreement by written notice to seller within 35 business days. If I'm getting it for 60, I want to put at least 45 business days of ratification of agreement, in which event the earnest money shall be refunded to the buyer. So this is probably the most important part actually of this agreement. This saves us. This makes this a risk-free business. Our only risk is the marketing and the time we put into, reaching out to these people. All right. And what I mean by that is like, the investment that you spend buying lists, buying the programs, things like that. But in terms of when we get the deals under contract, this allows us to cancel the deal if we can't find a buyer. And I'll explain with the cancellation when we go over that. And then number 8, this offer is contingent on the seller providing a clear title to the buyer. The buyer will have the allocated time period to determine if the title is insurable. If the title is not insurable, this agreement shall be terminated and all earnest money will be refunded to the buyer. So this is basically saying if there's any title issues that we cannot get cleared, it basically saves us again and we're able to cancel the agreement. All right. So this is the purchase agreement. This is what you're going to send to the seller if you do have a deal. Now, if you're working with me, in terms of joint venturing, or if let's say I send you a list with the acres, you're calling and you possibly got a deal, you do not have to worry about this because I'll be sending this to the seller and going over that process with them. All right. But just in case, you guys may want to, do things yourself. So
Oh, good.
you want to make sure you understand this process as well.
Oh, so you don't be wanting us to see the real price, huh?
What you mean?
Yeah.
What you mean? All right. So,
Hey,
boom.
how can I get that list, bro?
No, that's what I said.
Who's speaking?
I was Clarence. I just
I
asked.
said that yesterday. I said that yesterday.
I think she just need to be on mute.
Okay. Email me.
All right, I got you. But
Yeah.
Hey, Elijah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you sent me a list, and on the list, some of the addresses, it just says no street. How do I actually go about calling those people?
So there's no street at all, like no street address.
Yeah, so I just put beside it, didn't call, and I just kept moving.
So are you calling them one by one or are you putting them on a dialer?
Now I'm calling one by one.
I mean, what you could say is, if I gave you the county, so I would just say, hey, Joanne, I was just reaching out to see if you were interested in selling your land in Santa Rose County, for example.
Okay.
And then if she, says what area or what, just say it doesn't have a street address.
Okay. Yeah, because I had one like that. And she questioned me. She was like, "Is that on off of whatever street it was?" And I had the address for that one, so it was easy for me to look into it and be like, yeah, that's the one. But I'm like, dang, what about the ones that don't have the address? That'd be kind of hard to conversate when they want details, because they don't be really knowing that they have lots.
Yeah, just say don't have a street address. Uh but if they could give you a price, that would be perfect. But if they
Okay.
can't, that's why I want you to send it to my ClickUp so I could give you guys the price. So when it comes to acres, and this is for everybody, I'm gonna let you know the price on what to offer these people. So that's why the first conversation is really just to see if they want to sell. The second conversation is when you're going to give your official offer and see if we could, get in a price range where we could, possibly sell that deal. All right. So in that case, those be the best ones though. The reason why I'm saying that is because all the list I'm sending you guys, I already texted those people. So these are the people that don't have like a mobile number. And if they do have a mobile number, then they didn't answer the text messages. So these are straight cold calling people. The only people that can reach these people is people that are cold calling them. So if they don't have a street address, think about everybody else that's like just gonna skip past it because they don't have a street address. That's a person that we could put their parcel ID number into Propstream. I could look up their property real quick. We could give an offer, and they may want 2020 pricing or 2015 pricing, and the land is worth, double or triple that. And then we could, sell that deal. So don't pass up on those opportunities with sellers with no street address. Just let them know, be transparent. There's no street address. So use like the county as a way to get a price. And then another thing, if they say they have multiple lots, that's even better because now we could look up all the different parcels and then I could give a list of what to offer each person. So in those cases, maybe get their email. And then when you send the email to ClickUp, I'll email the seller all the different offers for every single land they have. I actually have one of those in the pipeline in Brevard County on one of the lists that I gave you guys. The sellers had multiple lots. So they said they wanted to sell an older gentleman and he had multiple lots. So I looked up each lot he had. It was like 20. And I gave him an offer, I think, for like 13 of them. The other ones were like dirt cheap, middle of nowhere that we're probably not going to be able to sell. So, waiting to hear back from him to see if he accepts it. But that could potentially be a big payday for me and whoever the person was that sent it. This was last week, so I forgot the name who sent it, but that could be a big payday right there, So
Hey, can I just say real quick?
yeah.
Also, I actually use this strategy with my VAs. A lot of people, you might feel like you need to know more, things like that. When I'm calling these lists, it literally just has their name. Their name just comes up and it'll say like 1909 unknown street. So I literally don't know if it's a vacant lot or if it's acres. It could be either one. So when I'm calling, a lot of the pressure is off of me and I'm putting the pressure on somebody else. They're like, hey, what are you looking for? What's the price? Things like that. And I'll say, I was just given a list. We're looking for both vacant lots and acres. Do you have anything you looking to sell in Brevard County or St. Lucie County, wherever? And that works so well because now the pressure's off of you. It's kind of like most people understand, oh, you just taking the calls. Let me just give you all the information. And it works every single time. So you don't need to know all the details with title and all of that. You could just put it on, hey, let me just check with my partner. He runs our numbers. What were you looking to get for the acres or what were you looking to get for the lots? And then when you send that over, Eli can look. He can bring up all the information and he'll tell you exactly what to do and what to say.
And then with these lists, you got to understand, I'm sending it to you guys, right? So these lists is already on my prop stream. So if you give me the sellers, all I need is the seller's first name and last name. And I could look up the lots within 5 minutes, even less than that, going on my prop stream marketing list. So that's another reason why I was like, this is a good idea because you guys could send it to ClickUp. I could look at it real quick, and then I could give you guys exactly where we need to be at. And then you could give the seller a call back and then remind you, nobody else is calling these people. So they are not getting called 20, 30 times a day by all new wholesalers or new land flippers. These are people that, they rarely get called. They may get some mail, they may get a text, but they might not answer the text. What I notice a lot of times with the acres too, a lot of these people are older. They're like, baby boomers. They own the land for 30, 40 years. So I promise y'all, if y'all stay consistent reaching out to these people with acres, we gonna get some good deals flowing within this group. Like some good deals, like 30, 40, 50K type deals on a consistent basis. Uh, this is why I already got like 40 of these lists. And I'm sending each one I'm sending y'all, I'm sending some of y'all like one-on-ones. So y'all getting a list that nobody else is getting. What's up, Brittany?
So I'm glad, I don't know if it's like serendipity or what, but I'm glad we're talking about the acres today because I had a call this evening and I was calling about a lot and he was like, well, yeah, I've got that one, but then I've also got, and apparently has like a bunch of different lots and about 3 acres that he was wanting to sell. And I was not expecting this like at all. I just thought this was going to be a person with like, I don't know, one piece of land. So I just started asking him a bunch of information about all of this, and this is in Texas. So I was asking him a bunch of information about like all of this land and the numbers. I didn't know what to make of them, like heads or tails, because I don't know the comps. So how do I, as we're calling, if something like that happens where they're like, oh, I don't, there's this land, but there's also these acres. And then they're throwing out these big numbers. Like I think he was like 190 for some of them and then 450 for some of them. Um, what do we do with that? Like when we don't know, he gave me the area, but not specific addresses or anything.
So me personally, I'm focusing on Florida right now. So when I'm talking about acres, I'm talking about acres in Florida, and that's for everybody. I just want to be, transparent. But if you're talking about Texas, Malik is in this group too. Their seven-figure wholesaling company out in Texas. He's in this group too. Reach out to him. Utilize your network. That's another thing that's, good about this group is we have multiple different types of wholesalers. We have brand new people, we have people that made 7 figures, people that made 6 figures. This is where you have to utilize your network. So I will hit up Malik and then send it to him. They do JVs just like how we do JVs in Florida. When it comes to Texas, you need MLS access. That's why I don't really focus on Texas like that because it's a non-disclosure state. So you can't just look up on Propstream and see cash comps. Uh, so you need like an in-house person, which he has over there in Texas. So I will reach out to him and see if this is a particular area that he's focusing on, and you might be able to JV with him.
Oh, okay. I think because the JV, I think would be with Brandon because he's the one that I think has the bot. Mine, if I'm wrong, Brandon, let me know. I don't know. Um, but he's the one that supplied the list. So maybe, yeah, I'll send you a message, Brandon.
All right, perfect. All right, so uh back to the contracts. And these are good questions. So in terms of the assignment contract, right? This is what we send to the buyer, right? So after we sign the purchase agreement with the seller, we send the assignment contract to the buyer. So what the assignment contract looks like is you want to put the seller's information up top. All right. If this is a new buyer that you never worked with, I won't put the email or the phone number of the seller just because, you know, if it's a new buyer, sometimes they could be shady. Sometimes you just don't know, right? So, but if this is a buyer that you worked with multiple times, you're comfortable with, you could put the seller's information, contact, their phone number, their email. And this just makes it easier for the title company because if you don't put the seller's information, they're going to email you and ask you for that information anyway. Assignee is always the buyer, right? The assigner is you. All right. So you'll put the assignee, the buyer's information, you know, their contact information here. You'll put your information, you know, your address, so they could send you the check for the closing. And then by this assignment of contract and with the assignment fee of blank, so whatever your assignment fee you'll put here, EDB Investment Solutions, you'll put your LLC or your name here. Assigner exercise his or her unqualified, let's put qualified rights to assign all of the rights and obligations of the attached contract for sale and purchase on the property located at, and then you'll put the property's information, the parcel ID, and the legal description here. All right. Then you'll put the total consideration agreement is let's say it was 20,000. Non-refundable to be paid as follow. John, let's say John is the seller. He gets 18,000. And then EDB Investment Solutions, which would be your name or your LLC, gets 2,000, right? Because this would be your assignment fee if the seller's getting 18 and the total amount is 20. You'll copy and paste the terms in terms of what this buyer will be paying and what the seller, what the seller will be paying, and then what the buyer will be paying here. So buyer slash assignee. Shit, I don't even know how to spell assignee. I'm bugging right now. Assignee has the sole right for any reason to cancel the contract within the 30-day due diligence period if the lots do not suit their needs and receive a full refund of their deposit. So this is basically protecting them. I usually put 15 days, you know, because they don't really need, unless they say they need 30 days. And then below, you put the deposit escrow amount, which would be 500, or whatever you discuss. The higher is always better for you because it gives them more of a like they're serious, basically. You'll put the title company's information here, the address, the closing agent's information, and then the title company. So if we put Shem Tov Title, I'll put, you know, I'll just Google all their information and just copy and paste it here. Closing date, you match it up with the purchase agreement. So unless the buyer gives you an official date, I like to put on or before 30 days. And then you put the signer, and then you'll sign here, date here, and then you'll just send this assignee to get the buyer's signature. All right. So this is the assignment contract that you're going to be sending to the buyer. Now, the last contract that I want to go over with y'all tonight is the cancellation, because you never know when you need to cancel. And don't get discouraged if you have to cancel. I probably canceled well over 200 deals, to be honest with y'all. You know,
I have a quick question.
talk
How
to
long would you, so how long is too long before you cancel?
As I was saying before, if let's say you get a deal and they sign for a 60-day, uh, like you put 60 days closing on or before 60 days on your contract with a 45-day inspection, and let's say you don't get any offers or you can't find any buyers within 30 days, I will cancel that agreement.
Okay, so give and take, give at least 60 days for the whole, from you speaking to the seller to closing. So if
Uh,
a seller asks me how long it'll probably take before they close, just say 60 days.
I would say on or before 60 days.
Oh, okay.
Because
Thank you.
if you say 60 days, they're gonna be like, oh no, that's too long.
That's too long.
I
Yeah.
sold my lot 3 years ago and it only took 30 days. So the reason why I say on or before 60 days is because it could happen at any time before that 60 days. And then when it comes to 60 days, I just let them know that, we always close before then, but just in case there's any issues with the lot, it gives us enough time to allocate, to the closing, things like that.
Cool, cool, cool. Thank you.
All right, no problem. So y'all can see the cancellation agreement.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So simple, not too complex. And you could also make this into an addendum of contract too. You might have to use addendums, which I'll go over after this. So cancellation to the contract between the seller, then you put your LLC or your name, you'll put the property address here, and seller and buyer make the following terms and conditions part of the contract. So both seller and buyer decide to cancel the agreement, or what you could put is both seller and buyer agree to cancel the agreement because the lot didn't pass buyer's standards. So the reason why I put buyer standards in the original contract with the seller is because you don't want to put like a specific reason on why you have to cancel. When you put a specific reason, it got to be that reason why you have to cancel now. So when you put buyer standards, that could be anything, right? So that will give you, it basically allows you to cancel the deal if you can't find a buyer, or if your buyer for whatever reason can't buy it. All right. You'll sign here, date here. You'll send this to the seller through DocuSign or PandaDoc, whichever one you use. You'll come to, or you'll understand once you get into the game, you send out a lot of contracts. Some sellers may not even sign this. I like to keep it on DocuSign for at least 3 months, and I'll remind the seller each week, just in case they go back and they try to, let's say, sue you. It lets you know that you sent them the cancellation agreement before the inspection period ended, and you've been sending to them, for the last 3 months before, I cancel the agreement. All right. Now, if you wanted to make this an addendum of contract, you just take out that part and put addendum. And what this basically is, for example, if the buyer needs an extra 10 days to close, uh, and he needs you, you have to basically send the seller an addendum, right? So both seller, you'll change this to addendum 2. Agree, or you say buyer needs a 10-day extension, or it could be whatever reason to close. but basically you'll put the reason there. And then same thing, you'll put your signature, your date, and then send this to the seller. All right. So we went over the purchase agreement, we went over the assignment, and then we went over the cancellation and the addendum. Now, all of these are in the academy in the Discord group. When you scroll all the way down and you go to contracts, all of these contracts are here. So I'll put this recording in the training video section part, which is here, either tonight or tomorrow morning. So you guys can always go back to this video to either fill it out and, you know, things like that. For the new people that are, you know, just joining on for their first week, I want you guys to start watching the Start Here tab. This is basically scroll up, and this is going to teach you how to scrub your list for skip tracing, just a lot of the basic stuff that you need to learn, you know, to get on the ground running. Then also with the training videos, we have multiple training videos, and I think you guys should start watching these because, or just picking up the stuff that you need to watch. Not saying you have to watch every video, but let's say you have a deal and you want to find a buyer's agent for your deal. You could watch this video, right? It gives you basically the breakdown. So Wally, this is the dude in Texas that just does probate. His breakdown video of how he runs his business. And we got, you know, a training video from me. You know, so we have multiple different training videos. And then this is Malik, the one that does deals in Dallas, Texas. So I think it was Brittany. Yeah, make sure you hit up Malik on that deal. But he gives his deal breakdown on how he runs his business. So we have enough resources in this academy to get a lot of stuff, you know, moving and shaking. And then also, in terms of sending the deals through ClickUp, you know, so you guys that I sent you guys list, you know, you just put your information here, put your name, your email, put the owner's name. This is extremely important, their first and last name, because this is how I'm going to be able to let you know what to offer. I put the owner's name. I'm gonna just give y'all an example so y'all can see it. All right. So for example, let's just say Brevard County. So whenever you guys send me a lead, right? I'll go to Brevard County, and let's just say it was in Brevard County. I'll put the owner's last name here. And then let's say this is the lot, right? This one doesn't have an address. But when you give me the first and last name, I could put their last name here, and then their first name or their property's information is going to pop up. So now I could look at the lot real quick, right? Okay. This is a lot. Boom, boom, boom. What is it? This is 2 acres. Assessed value for 56. You know, I could look up the lot real quick. I could see what I may think is worth based off of what other lots sold. You know, if I don't have a clear understanding right away, that's when I click neighbors to see what the neighbors bought their lots for within the last 10, 20 years. And then going based off of the lot size, I'm looking what's close to 87,000 square feet. So these two, 78, 92, you know, they don't have a price on it. So that's what I'm essentially looking for to get some type of price. But if I don't get a price from that, just think of it like this. The seller is going to have the same type of struggle figuring out what their lot is worth. So in this case, I'm going to always go, my last resort is always going to be the assessed value. Because I know from previous experience from selling lots for years now, if you could get something for the assessed value, you could most likely sell it. So that's where I'm gonna offer a little bit under. I'll probably offer these people, you know, 46,000 for this land. They accept it, you know, we put it on the market for like, if we get it for 46, might put it on the market for 66 or 76 and see if it sells from there. All right. But that's just an example of what I do. So when I send you these different acres lists, I'm just putting the owner's name there. That's why the owner's name is extremely important. Another thing, you want to get the phone number. If you don't get the email on the first call, that's okay. But if you can get the email on the first call, it is usually better, just so I could send them the contract right away. If they do agree on the price that we, you know, I'll let you know what we could do. Then you get the property's address. You want to make sure you put that. If there's no address, this is important too. You want to put the county. The reason why is because going back to Propstream,
Oh,
only way I could look up that lot so quick is because I know the county. If you just give me Thompson, if you just give me Thompson, it's gonna be hard for me to look up the lot. So you have to give me the county. So if they don't have a street address or if they don't have a 123 Main Street, just put Brevard County. If you give me the county and the owner's name, I could find the lot. Don't have to worry about the APN. In terms of this, if you don't know any of this stuff, these could be questions that you ask the seller on the first call. Does your lot have, you know, well and septic? Does your lot have city water? Right? These are questions that you can ask the seller even when you're dealing with the acres of land. So you're not going straight to the, you know, what's your price or we could offer this. So you can have some type of conversation with them. If they give you a price, the price is always the best. If you could get the price from the seller, you know, that's very important too. Because whoever gives the price first usually loses. I may give you a price, and for example, right, this lot, I might tell you, hey, we need to be at 46,000. But the seller, they may have wanted 36,000. But because we offered 46,000 first, they're gonna take, you know, the ladder, right? So this is why you always want to ask the seller if they had a price range where they wanted to be at. And that's usually how I get the price first on the seller. And then for this, you could just put no, and then you'll submit it. All right. Then when you submit it, it comes to me. I'm gonna look it up real quick, tell you what to offer, call the seller up. You make that offer, and then depending on where they're at, if they're close to the price and it's something we might work with, you know, we're gonna just go with an agent, put it on the MLS, and you know, hopefully it sells. But right now, I do think depending on the pricing, the most important thing in real estate is the price. If you got anything for a good price, we can get it sold. You know, I sold lots on main roads, wetlands, flood zones. It just depends on the price. So same thing with acres of land. If we get it for a good price, and these people may not know exactly what to offer, because you got to think, if it's challenging for us to make an offer, it's definitely challenging for them to know what their lot is worth. So we could use this to our advantage, right? And you know, we are helping them as well. We're helping them sell land that they probably was just gonna hold forever, right? They probably wanted to sell, but they didn't know how to sell. So you got to think like that too. The more people, this is how I think of it. The more people I serve, the more money I make. So start thinking of it like that. You don't want more money. You want to serve more people. If you serve more people, you will make more money. So going into next week, what I would tell you, don't think about the money. Don't think about the closing. Just ask yourself, how many people can I serve today? I want to serve 100 people today. I want to help 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? I want to help at least 10 people today sell their land. I want to serve 10 people today. When you switch to that mindset, you're just naturally going to do the marketing. You're naturally going to get somebody to serve so you can eventually close that deal, and now you make money for serving somebody. That's all entrepreneurship is to me, is serving people. So when you put the mindset with that, with land, especially when it comes to acres, you know, that's when you're going to get blessed. You know, we could only do our part. I feel like everything else happens, you know, once you do your part. So, for the people that send me your email, I'll send you over a couple acres list. But yeah, I want every single one of y'all to be on it. Like, this is the opportunity. Until more people start doing acres and getting on to what we about to do, I want to be the first one to it. You know, so we have the opportunity now. I have all the lists in every single county in Florida. So let's just continue making those calls. I want to be evaluating property all day, nonstop, because you guys are reaching out to these people nonstop. So that's the goal for next week. We're going to serve hundreds of people, thousands of people. Is 17 of us in here. If we all serve 10 people a day, you get what I'm saying? We're going to have a lot of leads coming through that's going to potentially turn into deals. All right. So I'll put this recording, like I said, up either tonight or tomorrow when it records. Might put it on YouTube. So if you're watching this from YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, join the EDB Academy. And then for Melissa and Brandon, I'll pay you guys next week for the people y'all got into the group. And then for everybody else, start sharing this group. You know, even when I told you guys, start posting on your Instagram story, your Facebook story, the free land group on Facebook. Y'all could be utilizing that. Y'all got 16. Think of it like this real quick, because I need y'all to start thinking like a hustler, right? We got 16,000 people in the free Facebook group. These are already warm leads. They're interested in land. They just don't know which direction to go. You convert those people into the group. You get 5 people into the group from the free Facebook group into this EDB Academy. You just made $100 a month. I know $100 may seem small in the beginning. This is how I used to think when I started affiliate marketing, right? Oh, that's it. But once it goes from 100 to 500 to 1,000 to 2,000, and then affiliate marketing is paying your daily bills. And now this allows you to have freedom to put more money, more time, more energy into reaching out and serving sellers. So now the money that you make from serving sellers is money that allows you to buy your investments. And now those money that you're buying with your investments could fund your lifestyle, could fund your freedom, could be your generational wealth. So don't look over the small seeds. Start planting those small seeds now and keep watering it. Like we said, last Tuesday, you don't want your kids getting it from the mud. I know I don't. We want to get them from the garden. So this is what you could do within this land business. It's not just making money from doing land. You could get money from doing land. You could get money from joint ventures with land. You could get money from, teaching people land. You could get money from affiliate marketing, getting people into the group of land. That's 5 right there. You get what I'm saying? So start utilizing your network, the people, the resources. And I want y'all to start doing that. In that free Facebook group, you have warm leads. All you have to do is, when somebody comment, and I seen somebody comment this the other day on the free Facebook group. Like basically, like, I'm depressed, I'm lost, I'm stuck, I don't know where to go. One of y'all should have been telling them, like, yo, you should join the EDB Academy. We have weekly calls, Monday, Thursday. We're talking about mindset. We're talking about land flipping. We're, learning about acres. Here's my link. Sign up and join. And yeah, that one person may not join, but just think of all the other people that's looking at that post now. That post got 17 eyeballs on it, and now 3 people signed up to your link just from you co-signing the EDB Academy. Not even me. Just because you co-signed it, you just made $60 a month, just like that. And now that's paying for your virtual assistant. Think of it. I pay my virtual assistants $100 now. This is how I'm able to have multiple of them now. $100 a week. Just think of that. Your affiliate marketing may be able to pay your virtual assistants in the Philippines. So now you don't have to do as much work. And now you could put your time on other things. So start doing it like that. Like, I know we talk about real estate passive income, but this digital passive income is the same thing. The more people you get into this group and they pay for your link, the more passive income you're getting. And not only that, those people that you might convert, they might be the people that you work with. And now I sent you a list, you send it to them and you work in the list with them. You get something with them, you might. One quote that changed my life, right? And this is when I first started. Because I ain't gonna lie, when I first got this information, y'all, I didn't want to teach nobody. I didn't want to teach none of y'all. And the reason being is because I had the scarcity mindset. I thought, okay, if I teach this person, if I teach this person, if I teach this person, they're going to take from me. And that's the scarcity mindset. Once I started helping other people make money, that's when I started making even more money. My time, I only got 24 hours in a day, right? When I send y'all lists, I just add on 26 hours, 28 hours, 30 hours, 48 hours, because all of y'all working with me. So start doing the same thing for yourself. The more people you put on and you work with, they may help you and add more hours to your life, because now you're only able to do so much. But if you send somebody else something and they work with you and you get a piece of their deal, and it might not be the whole thing. So it goes back to the quote I was going to say. You do not want the whole grape. And I know y'all probably heard this before. You do not want the whole grape. You want pieces of that watermelon. That grape is so small. That watermelon is so big. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, I heard he only owns 9% of Amazon. Mark Zuckerberg, he only owns a small percentage of Meta. Yeah, he's the face of it, but he owns a small percentage, right? You do not want the whole grape of a small company. You want pieces of a big company. And that's when you start having that mindset, like, I want to start working and putting more people on because those people I put on, I'm going to close deals with and work with. That's when more money is going to come to you. I need y'all to understand that first $5,000 that you make and you ain't really have to do no work, it's going to change your life because now you're going to try to go from thinking I have to work hard to let me work smart. And that's what really changed my life. Because when I first moved out here, I thought I had to work hard until I started being around the people that was making, 40, 50K a month. And I'm like, they don't do nothing all day, but they do what they want all day, if that makes sense. Like, I'm thinking I have to be cold calling 8 hours doing this for. Yes, in the beginning, you have to do that. But once you get to a certain point, you don't want to stay in that position. You want to start honestly pivoting out of that position as early as possible. How you do that is by helping others, serving others. So you can only serve as many people. So the people that's posting in the tap in, just think about what you're doing every day, right? Now put yourself in the mindset. How can I reach out to 20 more people in a day? If I can only do this much, how can I get 20 more people? Just think of everybody on your contact list on your phone. You probably got at least 10 to 20 people that needs to make some money ASAP. Put those people on. Teach them something, right? And now those 10 people that you reach or 20 people you reach in a day, now you have 40 people that has been reached that's under you because now you put a couple people on in your contact list and you're teaching them the game for free, right? Starting out, possibly. But now they join the group, so you make money from that. But also they may bring you a deal and now you make money from that. So now you just got paid twice on just one person. So go from thinking I have to work hard to how can I work smart? And that's when everything is going to click in your brain. All right. I know I could rant all night, but I just wanted y'all to understand. I definitely want to see you guys get more affiliates in this group because those may become co-callers for you and you guys may work together. And then, like I told you guys before, the first person that gets 5 people under your affiliate link, I will give you $500. However you want it. If you want cash, if you want Bitcoin, or if you want dinar, right? 500 dinar, that might, or Vietnamese dong, that might make you a millionaire, right? So, however you want it. But if you could get 5 people in this group, that lets me know, like, okay, you really, really serious about, and you're not just hearing the stuff I'm saying, because a lot of times we like that. Like, I like watching podcasts. I like listening to, billionaires talk. That's one of my favorite activities. When I'm in the car, I don't even listen to music no more. I just be listening to billionaires talk because I want to talk like them. Like, even if I don't become a billionaire, what they say, you shoot for the stars, you might land in the moon, right? Same thing. You not just what you eat. Your diet is not just what you eat. It's what you hear, it's what you see, it's the environment you're around. So if you in the not the best environment, if you're not in the best, mind frame or wherever, you could put yourself in that mind frame. We got that power. YouTube is free. So I'm just trying to tell y'all, stop working hard, or not stop working hard, keep working hard, but transmute that energy also into working smart. All right, utilize that free Facebook group. I need y'all to convert more people into this group so you guys can start making some passive income. And I promise you, once you start making some passive income, that's when things are going to start clicking from you. And now you're going to start thinking from an entrepreneur mindset instead of, the wages mindset. And then also serve more people. When it comes to this land business, don't think for yourself. Stop thinking, I want this amount of money, right? Think, how many people can I serve? I'm helping somebody today sell their acres of land that they've been wanting to sell. When you think in that mindset, I promise you, the good Lord Almighty, He will bless you, because that's what He came down here for us to serve. So when you start serving more, you start getting blessed more. All right. Y'all have a good night. I'll post this tonight. Like I said, if I put this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you join the academy, because we're going to give this good knowledge every single week. And we're going to make people millionaires in this group. I already made a lot of 6-figure earners, but I need to make some 7-figure earners. And we're going to do that, within these next couple years. So I'm going to talk to y'all. Have a good night.